So we have the problem, lot of the values. That was the second question in the Deltix round spring 2021 for division 1 and division 2 in the code forces contest. And so this question was basically it was a little difficult question, but actually it needed some insight. So the question states that while trading on his favorite exchange trader, William realized that he found a vulnerability. Using this vulnerability, he could change the values of certain internal variables to his advantage. To play around, he decided to change the values of all internal variables from a1, a2, so on to minus a1, minus a2, till minus a. For some unknown reason, the number of service variables is always an even. William understands this that with his every action he attracts more and more attention from the exchange security. So the number of actions must not exceed 5,000. And every operation, no in any every operation, no variable can have an attribute absolute value greater than 10 power 18. William can perform two types of operations on any two chosen variables with the indices I and j, where I is less than j, where the first variable can be replaced with the sum of the two variables, or the second variable can be replaced with the difference of second minus first variable. So William wants us to develop a strategy that will get us all the internal variables to the desired value within the given constraint. So for the input, we will be given the number of test cases we need to run and the length of each test case and the length of the array itself, which we need to change. So basically, the first hint is itself in the question, and which is for some unknown reason, the number of service variables is always an even number. So the number of variables, that is n being an even variable, is always a hint that maybe the question needs something to do with sets of two numbers or something like that, and pair of two numbers. And so other hint is the two types of assignment, that is ai is equal to ai plus aj and aj equal to aj minus a. And also the third hint is itself the constraint, the 5,000 number. So let's head on to the logic of this question. The question gives us that we have an array v1, v2, and so on until an. So this array, we need to change this array using maximum to maximum 5,000 number of given type of changes to an array minus a1, minus a2, minus a3, and so on till minus an. So we just need to change the sign of each input variable. So this question, while it may seem that it is a difficult question, but the given hints that including the constraint, including the type of operations, and uh, including the fact that the input is the number of input variables is always even, itself helping us to get to some realization that this question may have something to do with pairs. So we head on to saying just one pair for once. So we can divide the input array into few number of pairs. So that can be A, B, C, D, E, F, and so on. So these can be the input variables in form of pairs. So the first two numbers, the third and fourth number, the fifth and sixth number, and so on. And so let us consider one of these pairs, that is A and B. So for A and B, we are allowed certain operations, that is we can change this to A and A plus B, and also we can change this to A. Uh, no, sorry. So we can change this to A plus B and 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 B, and also we can change this to A and B minus A. So these type of operations are itself an hint. So basically these two type of operations are giving us a hint that we need to change each pair of numbers into the inverse number using some type of these type of operations. So if we go on to make trick, and we go on to neglect all the in all the cases where we won't get the inverted number. So like if we go on to change this again into the two possible things, so a plus 2b and b and a plus b and minus a. So and similarly for the others. So we will at the end realize that there is some logic, and maybe in some way we can reach at last at some point where after all these computations we get a minus a and minus b. So we want to say that some number of steps may lead us to this. So we head on to check for this would take about 4 to 5 minutes, and head on to check if any of these steps, any of the series of these steps would lead us to this. And at the end we realize that yes, there's a trick by which we can realize this. So this trick is we have a comma b, so we change this to a plus b comma b, and we then change this to using this first type of operation, we change this to a plus b and minus a. So we subtract from the second to first variable, and then we head on to b minus. So we again we do the first type of operation and we add both the numbers and then assign that to the first variable, and then we can have b minus a minus b. So we subtract the first one and then we add again. So we have minus a minus b. So we have these two numbers. And after that, we can just subtract the first number from second number and we get minus a minus b. So in about 6 steps, we have got minus a minus b from a to b, a comma b. So we have a comma b to minus a minus b. So first we add the second variable to the first variable, then subtract the first variable from the second, and then we again add this second variable to the first, and then subtract the first variable from the second, and then again subtract this. Then we add the second variable to the first, and then we subtract the first variable from the second, and we get minus a minus b from a comma b. So at the end we have a comma b to minus a comma minus b in 6 steps. So basically let us see what the constraints are. So we have maximum of 10 power 3, that is 1,000 number of such inputs, and so with 1,000 inputs we have 500 pairs, right? With 500 pairs, we must need 500 into 6 number of such operations, so that amounts to 3000, which is well in the constraints of 5000 of the given question. So 3000 is as equal to 5000. So we are really we have done the question in the required number of changes to the array. So basically this operation for each such pair will generate the required negative array of the initial array. So let's head down to the code for the same. The code is really neat. So you can see that we take an input variable n where n is the size of the array, then we assign the value of array with each element, and then we just output the number of operations needed. So that is the number of pairs, that is n by 2 multiplied by 6. So 6 operations for each pair, and for each pair we output the operation. So we just have we have 1 2 1 2. So these are the operation types, and then the indices of the variables where we want to perform this, and then we just return the output. So let us check if we are getting the required output. So yeah, so we have 12 for the 12 operations for this, 12 operations for this. As we do not need to reduce the number of operations as written over here, we do not need to minimize the number of operations, and so doing it in 12 operations, doing it in 8 operations won't matter until we are in the constraint. And we have seen that for the maximum value when we are still in the constraint, we have 3000 operations in that case. So let us see if our code is accepted. Yeah, so we see the code is accepted with the time of 233 milliseconds and memory of 0. Thanks.